Having my morning coffee. It's called Crazy Decaf. I love it. I don't feel a lot of meaning in my work. Is this really it? Or I find so much meaning, but I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can keep doing this. These are two common challenges I see with my clients, and I've also experienced these both firsthand. The reason why I think this is happening is we have an overly simplistic view of the way that we approach work and life. We spend roughly a third of our day at work, a third of our day outside of work, and a third of our day sleeping. For the sake of this conversation, let's cut out sleep. We're not conscious. This brings me to this idea of work and life. When we start talking about this topic, it's, oh, I have my work and I have my life. The problem isn't about satisfaction or happiness. The real root cause is I'm viewing it as work and life. I'm worker Rachel. Hi, I'm life Rachel. This isn't how it is. All of this is life. While we do really split our time half and half between these two areas, we're really forgetting that there's so many dimensions to experiencing our work and experiencing our life outside of work. I see it differently. I see us as having 12 dimensions that intersect throughout life at work and life outside of work. And so I'm going to talk through these today. And as I'm talking through them, maybe just jot down like, oh, these are the ones that really resonate with me of I'd love to figure out ways to improve these areas, or these are areas that feel super strong and I want to make sure I continue to nurture them so they give me that stability that I need to go after maybe other dimensions in my life. So the first is body. Body is really the physical element. So this can include things like exercise, nutrition, sleep, but it's also the deeper connection we have to the physical body, something called body literacy, where we can sense what's going on within the body. The second is mind. Mind is really the cognitive function. Things like intellectual stimulation, focus, memory, concentration. The third is emotions. Emotions include how we experience, how we express, and how we regulate emotions. And on top of that, we can really experience the full range of emotions. So what we've seen through research, and Brene Brown talks a lot about this, is when we dull one emotion, we dull the others. So how can we make sure we're really experiencing all of what it means to be human, but in a way that's healthy at an emotional level? So the fourth one is joy. And when I think of joy, joy is that sense of awe, that play, that curiosity that you have as a kid, right? The thing you get totally absorbed into and you enjoy, right? It's the thing that brings a smile to your face or maybe a warmness in your chest. The fifth is growth and learning. This includes really the personal development piece. How do you grow and expand as a human being, working towards that self-actualization piece? But it's also the tangible skills that you need in day-to-day life, either in work or outside of work. And then we have soul. And soul can carry a lot of connotations. The way that I define soul is this is the thing that fills you up. It gives you a sense of meaning. It gives you a sense of purpose. So what is that thing that really fills up your soul? Then we've got social. For me, social is a combination of friendships and community. So those that you're really close to, but those who are also in your orbit that you spend time with, maybe daily or weekly, like a cafe or your gym or somewhere like that, where you're still chatting with people, but maybe it's not the depth of a close friendship. Then we have family. Family could be your chosen family, they could be your blood family, but what does that look like in terms of the dynamics, the relationships, what you get out of that? And then we have love. Love is where we have a deep sense of commitment, intimacy, and really that unconditional willingness to grow with another. That could be a person, maybe that's a pet for you, maybe you don't want that with another human, but it's really where you feel this deep sense of vulnerability and you can just be you and you can grow together. And then we have career. So I know we've talked about work and outside of work, but for me, career is really important to include because there's still a way that we're probably making money most of the days. That's what career is. But really understanding what is it that I want to get out of my career? Is it for the financial gain mainly? Maybe it's part of it. Maybe it's also for a sense of meaning and purpose, i.e., connecting you to the soul. Maybe it's for social, that it gives you that sense of community and belonging. So career is really understanding what is the impact that maybe I want to have in the world in some way, and then what also are the gains that I get from that. Then we move into environment. And environment is where you spend your time. So this could be your home, like where I'm sitting now. I love my home. But it could also be the gym, it could be the cafe, it could be the library, it could be walking down the street. Really, it is, what does your immediate environment look like? How are you interacting with your environment? And then the last is wealth. So I said there are 12 dimensions that lead to wealth. But I also have wealth as its own category. And I initially thought about putting it as financial, but I think that is too restrictive because wealth is really about where do I experience abundance. And when we think about finances, that falls under wealth. But so does time. You can really expand this more to intersect in the other dimensions of life. Maybe wealth comes from the quality of relationships that you have. Maybe wealth comes from the amount of growth and learning that you experience in the day-to-day. Maybe wealth comes from having a career where you really feel like you have an impact. So those are the 12 dimensions of wealth. So just take a moment, maybe jot down or mentally put in your mind like, ooh, what are the ones that really call to me? The ones maybe that I'm doing really well now, or the ones that I'd like more of in my life. How can I create more wealth in my life in a more expansive way? And this, I think, also contributes to the definition of what is sustainable success for me. So what do we do with them? If you haven't done the vision crafting exercise, I will link it now so you can check it out. That one's super important where you can really start to envision what does my dream life look like through these 12 dimensions of life. If you've already done it, sit with these 12 dimensions and decide, how do I define these in my life? What do they look like? What does body look like? Mind, emotions, growth and learning, soul, right? All of these different elements, what do they look like for me? Because it's really important that whatever you work with, it resonates with you. Yeah, so I hope this gives you a new perspective around wealth, because while we can all agree we need money, this is how society works, it's the medium to exchange goods and services, it still has a limitation. And when we can start to incorporate all these other dimensions, we really enrich our lives in a lot of ways that aren't tangible. And it's super beautiful and it's super fun and it's a lot of experimentation and it's not stagnant. It will change over time. And maybe one last thing I would say is think about how do they interact with each other, right? How does body interact with mind? Or maybe how do emotions interact with love? Or how does career interact with soul? Or how does environment interact with social? Really starting to think about how do these interconnect and support each other. Because when I talk about sustainable success, a key component to this is energy. And so are we designing a life and living a life that gives us energy, or is it draining us of energy? All right, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I'm gonna go finish my coffee and I will see you soon. Ciao for now.